The American justice system currently appears to be systemically broken. We do a lot of David and Goliath type cases.
We're a nation of laws, or at least we're supposed to be. We're going to have to test the proofs that underlie this order, which haven't been done.
I'm trying to fight for justice in the American way.
Spent 30 years in the police department. I've seen a lot. You know, what's being said to you today and what you're reading, if it wasn't true 10 years ago, then you have to question that.
How in the hell did we get here and where the hell are we going?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Average Joes plus one. Yes, Ken is back. This is the way it really actually should be, because if it's just me and him talking, it's like, you know, that's very interesting for about one episode. So Ken is back because he was great. Robert, man, what was going on this week?
Well, our president, Mr. Joe Biden, stepped up with a path out of the pandemic, and he had 6 different points, 2, 3 really concerning. The other ones probably for political purposes. The other ones were increasing testing and requiring masking, protecting our economic recovery, and improving care for those with COVID, which I don't think many people can disagree with. The masking side of it is still janky.
Yes.
But the main part was vaccinating the unvaccinated. And at the same time, the FDA came out with an interesting thing saying that they recommend that adolescents under 12 years old and children shouldn't take the vaccine until they determine what the actual health effects are.
Yes. Let's not get all that confused.
Yeah. They also have this keeping the schools safely open aspect of it.
Yes.
But they're hitting the employers of over 100 employees to ensure that their workers are vaccinated or tested weekly. That they must. And I don't know how they're going to enforce this. It just seems like another governmental overreach.
Yes. They're going to stick OSHA on them is what they're going to do.
Right.
OSHA, everybody's friend.
Right.
In the business.
I guess my OSHA in Michigan and OSHA.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know how, so then you're going to make the employers enforcement arms of the government.
Yeah. Yes. No problem with that. I see. What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
Ken, you and our dear friend Kent made a wonderful video. And tell us a little bit about it before we get started on all this, because the link is going to be down there. So link's going to be there. Tell us about it.
Thank you for that, and thank you for having me back on.
Yes.
Yeah, we're fighting this ridiculous masking our little ones. They say that there's a state emergency in Michigan, but ironically, only 15 counties are participating in it.
Right.
15 counties. I've tied it back to the true people that are pulling the puppet strings.
Yes.
And that are the lawyers that represent these firms.
Right.
You see, these big, we get term limited out. These guys like Alan Cropsey and different people like that, they start law firms that, go into these different townships and different counties to advise these people, right?
Right.
So they're listening to them. I am pretty sure and certain that Samuel Adams, Benjamin Franklin were not asking the advice of an attorney when they were listening to We the People, correct?
Right.
Yeah, that's what's happening right now. We got a whole bunch of people that have a different agenda that are, hiring law firms out of like the liberal areas, Lansing, Detroit, and they're the ones that are making sure our leaders, the people that we put to represent us, aren't making that terrible mistake of listening to the people.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you've got 15 counties that are masking kids that have 0.50 and a 1 chance of catching COVID and dying. Our own health department in Allegan here, our health director, you know what she said when asked? What? I mean, I'm typing the guys at the commissioner. Ask her how many people are in the hospital right now. Not one person in the history of COVID that is in that age group has ever been to the hospital, ever. Not one person that's ever not been to the hospital, one of these little kids, have died from COVID. So why in the heck are we masking these little kids that can't wear a mask effectively?
Right.
That should be wearing a mask. And then out of that group, we found that there's little kids with Down syndrome.
Right.
5-year-old with Down syndrome, kindergarten, cute as all get out, having to wear a mask.
Right.
These kids that have autism, wearing a mask, kids that are unable to breathe because of asthma. And the school's forcing them to put a mask on them. And I'm pretty sure that's against the law. If you look at what's against the law, that's against the law to put something that can't, on the person's face.
If it's not against the law, it should be.
Right. Absolutely. So instead of fighting the mask battle with people that you can't pound sense into if you had to,
right.
We saw that, we need to get the voice out to all these parents that have kids that, are in this situation.
Right.
We needed to be their voice because the Fox isn't covering it, CBS, NBC, and all the great fake news media is not covering the real truth. And the fact of the matter is we don't need to mask these kids. We need to protect the people that are at risk.
Right.
The obese, the elderly, not these young little kids. Why are you doing it? Except to prove a point that these people in this county, Allegan County, Ottawa County, did not vote for Gretchen Whitmire. That's the only thing I can put to this.
Yeah. It became political fast. Give us the name of your video. The name of the video.
My Child, My Choice.
It's My Child, My Choice. I like
My Child, My Choice. We should have a choice. They're forcing it on them.
I will tell you one thing, and it's kind of crazy. And I just want to put this, disclaimer out there for Robert. Not all attorneys are bad.
Thank you, Jesus.
All the attorneys suck except for Robert Baker, or RJ Baker and Associates. Alex. Right. There's a little ad for you right there.
There you go.
No offense intended.
No offense. I meant that in a good way. But I'm going to be honest with you. There is a part, and I know that Robert knows this, that everything gets very litigated and everything gets all convoluted in your, and I know I'm speaking for Robert. I don't know how many times when we were sitting there talking, him going, it's probably unconstitutional, but who's challenged it yet?
Yep, that's exactly right.
So
I mean, the cost of challenging something like that and the time frame, because it looked like COVID was going to be over. So, I'm sure a lot of people never filed the costly lawsuits to get it to a Supreme Court, either Michigan or the United States Supreme Court. One, is very costly and it's very time consuming. For little offices like me, I could have, 200-300 hours, if not 1,000 hours in a pleading going to the Supreme Court and all the background to do it.
Right. And I was there when you've done it. It's not like, you sit down there by yourself either. That's a big, gigantic team effort. We're bringing in people from all over the county and we're getting every stud we can to work on it. So,
yeah,
I mean, things aren't simple. That's one of the reasons, as much as I thought Biden's last press conference was unhinged, we're going to run you over. It's like, dude, I don't even know if you can get in a car. Okay.
Right.
He's like, look, I'll be honest with you. Unless they pointed you in the direction to get out of the building, I'm not sure you could find it. Okay. But with that said, all that saber rattling, as we talked about in the last episode, there's some interestingness about it because in a way, I was almost glad he did it because now all of a sudden some Republicans who may have wanted to have been on the, home team from the beginning actually were like, oh God, he's going to force us to do something.
Yeah.
The RNC said, oh my God, let's put our cocktails down. Yeah. I said, we may have to leave the country club early, guys and gals, because we're going to have to do something. So it was good because they had to put their martinis down. So I think that's good for us. Unfortunately, I do not think there's anybody. It goes back to the media. It goes back. I mean, we're going to have people that we elect and media outlets that we create, like what y'all are doing with your outlet and what we're doing, and the other ones that are out there working hard, because you're not going to get it on the other one. And there's the part where, we're kind of fighting each other. I mean, I think there's a lot of saber rattling on the other side too. We're always like, all these people, they believe in conspiracy theories. Next thing they're crazy. The next thing they're going to tell me is the Russians are involved. That's insane, right? But here's the problem. I think they're causing great division. Tell us about your parents, because I know you had mentioned it the last episode. It was kind of chaos after that. I mean, their response to your getting involved in this into the political system.
Yeah, they raised me. Not only do I have the genetics, I have their epigenetic, training, right?
Right.
So they they trained who I am. I am me because of them. I think, with a little
Right.
bit of help by myself and the Heavenly Father. But yeah, they've been brainwashed.
Yeah.
My mom's sick. She, when COVID happened, they went into isolation for 2 months, right? And I was dropping off food at the doorstep after disinfecting it, wiping it down, and going through the proper precautions because we were preparing for the zombie apocalypse.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And they
hold that thought there, dude, about the zombie apocalypse. I didn't know we were gonna elect a zombie to be the target.
Yeah.
It did happen. Go back to yourself.
Yeah. Well, it happened in that time that they were isolated and locked off by themselves. They got brainwashed.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do. I think in the Bible, they talk about scales getting put on the eyes. And I think that happened to a lot of people. I mean, really good people like my parents. I mean, my dad's a self-employed businessman. He's was a barber in Hamilton, Michigan.
Yeah.
And he didn't have his counsel anymore. His friends that came in every day, keeping them balanced and fair and letting them know what was real and it wasn't real. They got brainwashed.
Yeah.
And I tried my best to talk to them. I mean, I love and care for them and I want what's best for them. But my mom called me up and said, forget that I have parents.
Yeah.
I mean, just forget that I have parents. It's like, I mean, I was on the phone. I said, well, who's this? There was no laughter on the end of it, but it was, I don't know what you do about that. I don't know how to, and I think a lot of people are in that situation. And I think God wants us to mend those relationships. I had a wedding on Friday with, when my dad was there, my nephew he got married, and it was pretty much just a handshake and a truce like you would, back in the day. I mean, I don't know what we can do.
I think there's two big processes on that one. Number one is fear does change people.
Yeah.
And we've all had fear. And, anybody who says they haven't felt, the only way you could not feel some fear is to be an incredible lunatic. Okay. That would be the only way. And fear is real and fear does change you. Okay.
Yeah.
Fear absolutely changes you. But the other part of it, and I think that this is a kind of a secondary of it about fear in itself, is that a lot of times you react in a way that's over emotional. And I think you get a lot of that. And I think that's one of the things that happens, and I believe that I believe that in my heart of hearts, that that's just one of those things that happens. So I hate that happened, but I bet you people watching this videos had it happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I can tell you right now, I have friends, and I mean, they're still my friends. I mean, at least I think they're my friends. I'm now seeing who they're so tied into like anything they see on TV, talking about COVID or talking about opinions, talking about anything. They're so tied into what they see on TV. It's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand it all the time. I mean, I'm like, okay, there we go. I don't know if I've said this totally on this show, but, I'm kind of still got a little bit of that 60s radical liberal in me, that just believe that politicians are lying because their lips are moving.
Yeah.
That I didn't think any corporation gave a rat's rip about me. And here's the irony is I have now lived long enough, right? I have
know that that's
long
true.
enough that the left loves the government.
Yeah.
And the left loves corporations, and the right are the ones going, hey, I think they're up to no good. So we've had that complete spin.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that it's not particularly going to be good. You're going to lose friends and you're going to lose family.
Yeah. You and I, Joe, we talked about it pre-show today about the divisiveness when you wheel out George W. for 9/11 and he's out there saying that if you don't agree with them, basically that you're as bad as the Taliban. I mean, that's way over the top as far as, rhetoric, not that he's the brightest crown in the box anyway, but those statements that he made. And then the way that Biden is doing this sixth plan thing. I mean, you're going to put a burden on small businesses, but 100 employees is still a little small, not really small.
No, it's small, but it'd be bigger than anything I've had.
And then I meant to mention to you, because we had talked about it before, they're calling on large entertainment venues to require proof of vaccination or testing for entry. Right?
Yeah. First off, let me say this. I'm from the 60s. I ain't showing you a card so I can go see you play music. Let me get this straight. I'm not giving you $100 so you can check my health credentials.
Right. And then you said at the local Slipknot concert.
Yes, I want to see that because I do like Slipknot. I want to see this. You're at the Slipknot concert. Let me reiterate if you haven't heard the other one. Reiterate if you haven't seen the other video. Let me clarify something. I wouldn't even let you look at my card unless you're wearing one of those masks. That's the way it is. Because other than then, you're a poser, dude. But here's my favorite part. There's 10,000 people there. Joe walks up and I hit positive, and now you got to quarantine the entire crowd.
You're right.
Good luck. Good luck with that. I wish you all the luck and more.
I don't know what the end game is. Do you either one of y'all have a concept of what the end game is for this? I mean,
I think the end game is I can see where my parents would turn me in. I mean, seriously. I mean, you sit back and we read Anne Frank, or I watched the play when they had it at school. I can't say I read the book, full disclosure here, but I'm pretty sure that, I wondered why people would turn each other in back then, because it was unheard of in small town Hamilton, Michigan, that you would turn your neighbor in for something like this. Heck, there's such a divide with the stupid mask. It's more like you put the badge of the star, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm hoping people understand that don't wait for the cattle car to pull up. They're not taking you to a vacation resort, right? You'll start speaking up. Listen, stand up, speak up, show up.
Yeah, I will tell you one thing, and this is kind of like growing in things. I was on Facebook, and I don't live on Facebook, but I talk about it when I'm here because it's interesting. Some days I just sit and stare in the abyss. So it's not like I'm on another day. But I did tell you I do like looking at it. Now I got people going, if you're not vaccinated, I don't think they should let you in the hospital. Oh, that's great. Just like drug dealers that get shot during drug deals. We let them die in the street, right?
Right.
Or people who, and I got to be real careful with this one, okay? It's like people who did anything that was unhealthy, like, she's dying because she has some sort of overdose of cocaine and heroin, and we got a shot for her, but her personal choices were bad, so I'm just gonna let her die.
No vaccine, right?
Yeah, she's not vaccinated either. No shot for you to bring you back alive, right? Mm-hmm. And you know what, David? I got this is the one I'm real careful on, and one day I might find the balance. A lot of y'all guys that watch this know that I got 40 plus in fit, and I'm big into fitness and health and trying to do that. I find that we're talking about all this health stuff without talking about who's at risk.
Right.
And what you can do in your lifestyle to make it better.
Yeah.
It's like if all of a sudden obesity was a problem with it, and I've heard that being obese is a horrible thing to have happen to you.
Yeah.
When you have COVID, it's a real indicator that you may not be getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would think that we would all be saying, we need to probably watch our weight and take care of stuff. If I saw that, I might even actually have a different view of all of this. But see, it isn't about that because they don't talk about it. It's like, most of our food is probably full of chemicals and bad stuff. And it's one of the reasons we are obese, because I think go watch some movies from the 50s. Okay. And watch the extras in the movie. Like they do a street scene or they do some things from the street. There's no obese people. None. Well, back then, Joe, they were all a lot busier. No, actually, no, they were all urban people. They were all walking around, sitting at their desks doing stuff, and they don't weigh 300 pounds.
Right.
But they weren't eating the same things we were. Well, they were they were buying their food from the grocery store, just like you do. Nobody in New York City was raising their own cat. Okay, right. They were going to the store, buying food, just like we do. I am thoroughly convinced there's something in our food that causes the weight and the obesity, which is all the more reason why you need to exercise and do all that things and watch what you're eating. I mean, it's even more important, because of that. But do you think that anybody in Congress would ask that question? when they know how much money those companies give them?
Right.
You think they would go, oh, I wonder what's in that food? What, since the smells in some of your food are actually just perfumes that they stick on it, so you think you're smelling your food, but your food don't actually have any sort of smell to it because it's all sterile. They don't talk about that. You know why? Because somebody's making a whole lot of money. So it does seem interesting to me. Like even the health aspect of it it's done like in this political kind of divisive way, right?
Yep.
No one's going to say, hey, look, I'm going to tell you something. If you're 90 pounds overweight and you haven't exercised and you get COVID, this is going to be 50 times worse on you.
Yeah.
No, that should be every day.
Yeah.
Every 25 minutes that should come on TV. But you're going to yell about vaccinations and you're going to yell about wearing a mask, but you're not going to talk about real health concerns, right? You're not going to talk about anything preventive. So that's kind of where we're at, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I had an argument with one of a friend of mine, and it wasn't it was an intellectual argument.
Right.
And he's relatively conservative, and but he's 82 or 83 years old, and he's like, I feel like people should get the vax to protect me, and I'm like, well, no. Where do you draw the line when you force people to take the vax at vaccine number 5, at 85? Right. Are you going to start throwing people in jail or taking their children when we're up to vax 112 and I only have 92?
Right.
I mean, and what about your choice for your health? What if you have an inherent thing that could kill you if you take the vax? Do you not take it? I mean, these are all things that I guess hopefully will be tested in the courts. I'm not sure whether it'll ever make it there, but
it's the only way it's going to be. Well, look, we're going to.
Did you catch that clip? I'm sorry. Did you catch the clip of CNN? I'll have to send it to you.
Send it to me because
I about fell over. I thought I was still dreaming. It's CNN after they had a clip that Biden said about the vaccines and this type of thing. CNN said that out of everybody that's going to the hospital, with COVID, going to the hospital with COVID, 70% of them are vaccinated.
Yeah.
So riddle me that. Why is CNN? Is that the truth, or do they find out something that people aren't going to get the second part of the jab, and now they got to come out with a new vaccine? I don't know. I can't figure it out.
See, but send that to me because there's a good chance that if I saw it and it said CNN, I immediately blew by it.
Right. I probably did too.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a minor break for our listeners on our podcast. For the people watching this video, we're going to be right back. Okay. Big thing about January 6th. I know people are still talking about it. There's a lot of craziness going on with it. And just one of those interesting times. And I think it's why you get people like George W. Bush, who was president, comparing people that don't agree with him with the Taliban. It's like, I'd have probably left that alone, George. Okay. Probably would have left that alone. 8 years with Obama, he continuously said, as the ex-president, I don't think I should make a comment about that. Then Donald Trump gets elected and you can't shut him up. Well, I tell you what, George, why don't you do me a favor? Get a paintbrush. Go do some painting. And shut up. Okay? I voted for you twice. If I could get in a time machine and go back, I wouldn't vote for you. Right. I don't know who I'd have voted for. I don't know. Attila the Hun. Maybe I'd have rode in the Green Hornet, but it wouldn't have been you. Okay? There you go. There's probably people who still like George Bush, but they don't watch this program.
Yeah, right.
So January 6th. Give me a little bit of background on that. And Robert, I know you read something super interesting.
Yeah. What I read was that it was on Reuters, I believe, that at the they determined that there was no organization related to Trump or Roger Stone or Alex Jones. And there was 4 or 5 FBI agents that determined there was no coordination. Coordination was with the militia groups, if any coordination was at all. That's what Reuters reporting.
That's what they reported. But it's interesting because, I'm going to go full disclosure here before I turn it over to Ken.
Oh, here we go.
I like Alex Jones.
Right.
I've listened to Alex Jones. Alex Jones, one time I listened to him for an hour one time. And the only thing he talked about was himself and his vitamins. But when you could get him off of that, he was an interesting bird. Now, I'm not insulting him because there's some Joe St. John vitamins.
Right.
Not proud, people. Not proud. Ken, give me your opinion. You have a more personal view about that.
I don't think they looked at the source that really gathered the people together that came there it wasn't militia groups. It wasn't a Facebook group. It wasn't anybody on the internet. It was God. Mm-hmm. I mean, we prayed on it, I'm sure. I mean, when you wake up one morning, the November 4th, and find out that, your election, we feel that it was stolen.
Right.
And everybody else is saying, there's nothing to see here. No, it couldn't happen. That's impossible. Nothing went on. But you wake up and you know down deep that, something happened. You don't know what it is. And, President Trump was the only president in the history of my lifetime that I know held up every promise that he ever promised us.
Right.
I was waiting for him to not fulfill the promise. Right. So when he asked me, or asked everybody, show up on the 6th. Right. I prayed on it. I talked to my wife about it. We were, and they're throwing fear out there. I mean, we thought that we were targets, we were being set up, all of that, right? We're smart people. We're not going to do anything stupid, I thought. And, I actually went to my wife and I asked her, because we have my daughter, we're the family that came together with her kids and my kids. And I said, and my daughter loves her. And I said, if something happens, like a bomb goes off, I don't know what it is, would you take care of my daughter for me? Right. If I don't come back? And she goes, and why are you going? I said, I'll tell you why I'm going. I said, Joe Biden said that this is a battle for the soul of America. Right. Now, I know they can't take a soul. Right. Free agency. There's laws that Satan even has to follow here on this planet. He can't take anything. You have to give it to him. Either willingly and join his team, which I think a lot of these politicians have, or you do nothing, sit on your butt and do nothing. That's another way that you give it to him. Or you stand up and you fight. Right. And what I mean, fight is you pray, you do the right thing, you show up at the school board meetings, you do what you can you show up at a meeting like this, you go to a rally. I mean, I didn't think it was anything serious, but then I see signs, right? You look at it before the election. I was having a fit. I saw a satanic star at the national convention. Yeah. Okay. So everybody has stars, right? They debunked that. Second thing I saw were the 3 red banners. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with that?
No, but let me know.
Google 3 red banners. It's the socialistic movement in the 1950s that the socialists took over China that then turned into communism. That's what the 3 red banners is. And that was on a Z. The E part of is the Biden, right? Then you look at the campaign thing and they had this crazy thing right here. I brought another little prop here, but if you can see this, 30330. Right. Do you know where they got that number? Where? This is what they used on everything. If you go back and you look at the videos, 30330. Do you guys have one of you guys have a calculator?
No, I did add up.
If you take 2020, divide it by what the Bible would say is man's number or the devil's number, right? Right. 666. Right. What number do you get, Robert?
30330, what you have on it.
Right here. Now, that is either intentional or a mathematical freaking impossibility. Right. That they came up with this freaking number, right? Or it's Jesus saying, pay attention. For me, it was enough to gas up my car, fill it full of food and water because they said we weren't going to be able to get gas. We aren't going to be able to get food and water and drive to Washington to see what was going to happen. Right. I was willing to give up everything at that point. I mean, come on. God gave me everything in my business. If I'm not willing to give up my everything to be able to go stand and see what's going to happen, that's why I went. I mean, come on. How else? Really? It's crazy.
It's interesting that you said that because I think one of the things that happened, and I'm going to go all in here, is that everybody thinks like you got on the phone and called like 20,000 of your closest friends and said, meet me in Washington. I just got off the phone with Alex Jones. And I mean, you have people that believe that, and I'm like, look, I'm with you. I'm you know a lot more about this than I do, and I just want to say that right off the bat. But I always thought, like, coordinated effort, you just got everybody to show up. You know, I used to do like Crime Watch meetings. If I could get 11 people, I thought I had done something. Okay. When you have people go back to the conference in Grand Rapids, you show up, there is a movement that's happening in the spirit that, or as they used to refer to it back in the old days, it's in the air. You know, do you remember when people would say that? It was in the air. And it's true, because that's how you get everybody to be there. And I always think it was interesting. Now, I want to add something that I want to get back on there. I want to tell you a little personal experience. On November 3rd, it was unrelated to the election. I thought I was having a heart attack. But it was what they like to refer to as a cardiac event, which in my case turns into open heart surgery. Okay. And I'm fine. There's a whole video. I'll put it in there. I'll put it in the link. I'm doing great. Okay. I am on the stretcher, right? They're loading me up on the stretcher. And I'm laying there thinking, well, this does not look good, right? And they're getting ready to roll me out. I'm on the stretcher. They're getting ready to roll me out. And they have stopped counting the votes in Pennsylvania. They're coming back tomorrow. I was like, what the? Stop counting the votes. And then when they come back and they count, they go, I don't know. Like, people think that was strange. We always stop counting votes. No, it never happened. A guy that thinks he's having a heart attack, who thinks I'm going to see the big guy, stop suffering for a minute to go, what the hell? Hold on, don't roll me out yet. I'm seeing crazy. Okay. And then the next day, I'm like in the hospital. They're counting them again. People seem to be and I don't know. Like, I'll tell you why. Because I smell shit. I think I'm dying. I literally think I'm dying. And I pause for a minute to go, I smell horse shit. Okay? That's all you need to know about that. So we're all conspiracy theorists. The next thing you crazy people are going to tell me that the Russians are involved.
There we go. There we go.
There you go. So go on, Ken. I interrupted you to tell you my personal suffering story.
Yeah. But that's what put us together, was the Holy Spirit. You know, and it's just, I think what showed up on the fake insurrection basically was the war of principalities. I mean, good versus evil. It was a battle of spirits, really. I mean, and all you have to do is show up to peacefully protest, and that's what we did.
Right.
But there's a million people there. Oh, at first we show up and there's nobody there. We're told no bathrooms, no gas. All the restaurants were closed, and we couldn't get a hotel room. So when we showed up the night before and took a walk downtown, there wasn't anybody, and we were really afraid that we were the only people that believed that we could be there. Right. But we were really glad when we showed up at 7:30 in the morning that like 250,000 people beat us there beforehand. Right. And you know who was there first?
Who?
The Chinese. Oh. The Chinese were there in groves with yellow signs with these 3 red banners on it. So I wasn't full of shit when I saw that. Right? Right. So it's like they were there, and I talked to them. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? And they told me, we were there when it happened. We know what's happening right now. Wake up. You guys need to wake up. This happened in China. This is what's happening here. China has taken over this country. That's what happened. This is how it works in China.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the coincidence here, China's number that they go by, guess what that is?
Which one?
666.
Yeah, I believe it.
Right. You take all this stuff and you put it together. You're no longer a conspiracy theorist. You're standing on the lawn of this event, and you're seeing people climb up in trees like Zacchaeus, right?
Right.
To see everybody, right? And you're there and you're listening, and it's a great rally, great speakers, but what brought you together there is like all of these great people that had the same heart. I mean, come on, we all if we're Christians, we probably accepted Christ as our Savior back at, Camp Geneva or a place at 12 years of age, right?
That's right.
But until you make that decision to give up everything that he's given you on this earth, to stand for something, to actually do his work, great things don't happen. And I think that's what we're seeing. Table tipping Jesus showed up on the 6th.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to show up personally. So he put the Holy Spirit in over 250,000 people that went to the Capitol that day to stand there while they were dropping tear gas on people and flash bombs on people. And people just stood there taking it like, all right, we can take as much as you want to throw at us. We're going to stand here peacefully. And it was an amazing show of just true patriotism, true people that love God. And MAGA to me isn't make America great again. It's make America godly again.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what this whole movement's about. And, if we're sitting back waiting for the trumpets to sound and the great orange man to come galloping out of the clouds on a great white horse, right?
Yeah. Right.
To save the day.
Yeah.
It's not happening. That's not happening. If you think that's going to happen, if you're sitting around waiting to be saved like that by somebody else, that's not happening. It's up to each individual person. So all these things, the mask, the forced mandates, what they just did to tell people that they have forced to get a vaccine and people are quitting their jobs.
Right.
This is waking up the same spirit that woke me up back in November.
Yeah.
Right. This is what's happening. So it's like, what are you guys doing? You don't understand. You're creating an army of God's people that will peacefully fight this.
Yeah.
Right.
I do think, see, what happens is, let's say that you, me, and 200,000 of our closest friends show up somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And let's say 11 of them or 250 of them go crazy. They're the only people that get any credit.
Yeah.
The people that are over here being, peaceful and doing the things they're supposed to do, they get lost in the shuffle. And in a way, I kind of understand the clickbait aspect of it. And it's like why all three of us, we do preach that you need to do the right thing and be lawful and do all that. And we do all that because you're not going to get any positive out of doing anything that's insane, right? There's nothing that's going to come out of it. But I will tell you something, though it got zero media coverage. The people that were there doing nothing but doing what they're supposed to do, peaceful protests, they'll remember that bond for as long as they live.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to do. And I wrote an article called The New Movement, and it's like, we have got to take care of things community-wise. That's the local community. I think the video that you and Kent did was beautiful. I think that totally explains it, right? I think that community now is different because we can be in all different states and we can meet on Zoom and we can do programming together and we can unite. Okay. We can do all these things. And I think that's what we got to do. We want to be sensible. And I don't think anybody wants us to be crazy. We want to be sensible and do the right things. But I'm going to ask Robert and put him on the spot. The first time I ever came to Michigan, we were like, we can smell this.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a movement. It was palpable in the air.
Yeah.
And everywhere, because I took Joe to a gun store first thing when he got off the plane. And I mean, it was just like every person we talked to was the same saying, yeah, America is burning and we got to do something about it.
It was an interesting gun store because everybody had bought all the guns and ammo.
Yeah, there was no guns in there or ammo actually at the time.
I said, it's interesting.
I got my own theory on why people went into the Capitol.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like what they said, insurgents. There was a fake insurgents, if anything.
Yeah.
But when we went out there on the 5th of January and walked around, there were all kinds of porta potties everywhere.
Yeah.
When we showed up on the 6th, they had them locked up.
Yeah.
We didn't have any place to go to the bathroom. So when those doors to the Capitol opened up, people weren't going in there and they were going to the bathroom. They needed to find a facility. That's what happened that day.
I think here's one thing, and I think that there is a cautionary tale about it all. And this is the policeman in me, and I can't stop myself. This is the precautionary tale. I think when any of us go anywhere, we have to be prepared that there is a small group of people who are going to go that extra step that don't need to be taken.
Yeah.
And and again, I don't think this was an organized thing. No one got on the phone and said, Alex Jones said, bring all your friends. It didn't happen. That's just crazy talk, right? But I do think what happens is that groups do come there. And I hope if there's anything we can do, and Ken, you're going to be a big part of this. Robert and I are going to be a big part of this. I think there'll be other people we bring aboard. When you go someplace, be aware that not everybody's intentions are the same as yours. And there is a part where I like to refer to it as breaking away. In other words, this is our goal. This is our agenda. This is what we have to do. Okay. Now, I have heard that, and there's videos of it. There's Capitol Police that are actually posing with the people. They're taking selfies. They've opened the doors.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And, I can't explain that. Look, I showed a video of it to my kids when I was teaching, and there was police officers running away. I'm like, can't defend that, right? Did a lot of things. Police officers. I never ran away. Okay. So there's all this very interesting other stuff going around and otherworldliness almost. And I think that if there's anything we can do is just to teach people, look, these are your rights. These are the things you can do. This is what you need to do. Okay. But don't get locked into if other people get crazy, kind of that crowd mentality, right? That you have to step away. And let's be honest with you. That's what probably 95% or 99% of the people did, right? They said, okay, I'm not going. Or when they seen it get ridiculous, right? I think they were like, okay, I'm going to be careful. But they make it sound like everybody that showed up was in the thing. And they made it sound like the doors were kicked in, right?
They opened them.
Yeah. And I've heard that on several occasions.
Yeah. There was an element there, you're right. And it was Antifa and it was Black Lives Matter. But they were so easy to tell because you can't fit into a true Christian. They didn't know how to act. They didn't know how to speak. Yeah. Right? I mean, you follow the Bible. You can point those people out really clearly. I mean, they're the ones that love to climb up on the monuments. They're the ones that they do weird things. They take the flags and they drape them all over each other, right? Yeah. I mean, and they still have the same boots, the same, the same outfits. Right. They just try to put a Trump hat on backwards. And they were the ones that were speaking like anarchists. We don't even litter. I don't know if you've ever been to a Trump rally, but if you can find a piece of paper on a Trump rally on the ground, I remember I have part of it on a video that I took. This lady chewing this guy out for dropping a pamphlet. Yeah. Right? We don't litter. We're Trump people. Blah, 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 blah. Be shoes on them. Yeah, that's the type of people that are there. And some people might got have carried away a little bit, but I never saw it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things as we go on there, we talk about that because I do think that people's spirit are good. Spirits can be good. Okay. I think your spirit and your heart and all of your stuff can be very, very good. But a small group of people can just totally mess it up. And we just always want to make sure, and this is why I enjoy talking to you, Ken, and it's, and just overall, a lot of the people I've talked to, people want to be the good guy. Mm-hmm. We're not, I understand, don't get me all hooked up on George Bush again. We can have a mini rant every 2 minutes, but not the average person that disagrees with you is a good person. The average people that, that are out talking, they didn't fly airplanes into the building. They wouldn't do it. Okay. So you're ignorant, needs to shut up. But it's where we just need to remind people, just be prepared. And actually, here's the irony of it all. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more, but here's the irony of it. Going back to Robert's day, that there wasn't really a great organization, and actually, if you look at it, there doesn't seem to be any organization. I'm like, what? Maybe we needed to be organized. Maybe each individual group probably needed to be organized. And I think we're going to have to be wiser and go, look, I got a group, Robert got a group, you got a group, Ken. We're going to have to talk to our groups and go, look, there's going to be an element out here that is going to try to be disruptive and do things that not make us look good. We can't play into it. We can't play into it. So I think that's a big part of it. I think one thing, and I'm going to ask you this, and kind of the last thing I asked them up there, even in spite of all the stuff that made it sound like everybody that was there was trying to overthrow the government that day, don't you still feel good that many people showed up to let people know they were not happy? Because most of them, 99% of them were law-abiding citizens.
I felt honored to be there with them. I mean, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost their, different family members because they were there. But, people gave up things to go. And when somebody's willing to do that, to take that leap into uncertainty, to really step out there and not let God guide you, because that's when God starts reading your story, right? So many people have taken on a whole different perspective in life. When we got back to the hotel, first of all, there's no food. You couldn't order room service. They cut you out. They let you know, well, you guys are bad people. We're not feeding you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, seriously. So we ended up all gathering around, and everybody was showing their videos of the people that were in the Capitol. Mm-hmm. There were people there that took away weapons, pipe bombs, bats. There was all kinds of people trying to. If I really truly believe that if it wasn't for the people that were there, the good people, that place would have been burned to the ground. I think they wanted to go further than what it was. And I believe that, Trump people, if you want to call them that, but the good people.
Yeah, the 99%ers.
Yeah, they really stopped things from getting totally out of hand. Because if there wasn't an insurrection, and if our purposing what God wanted us to do was take that place down, 250 people were a huge army. I don't care if we were armed or not armed.
Yeah, if 250,000 people showed up.
250,000 people. When you see the crowd that moved down into the Capitol, that was amazing. You don't see that footage. It was huge. This is like the biggest armed, not unarmed movement on the planet. And I think that was an amazing, event, really, to see that many people willing to stand for good, stand for God, stand for the right thing.
Yeah, it is. And I sometimes, like I said, I wish that the good people would get credit. But I also think this is a point where as we wound up today's episode, I think that is a good time to point out, we need to stay good. We need to stay right, and try to avoid the people that are going to do bad. Because I'm going to tell you, you'll never get anything good out of bad. We got only a few more minutes before we need to wind down. I don't want to keep this too long. Robert, anything you need to say?
Yeah, there was a couple of things I wanted to point out. One is when they say about the election that there was no indication of voter fraud, and when they say it's a pristine election, the most pristine election in history, the hair on the back of your neck should stand up. Your spidey sense should be heightened awareness. Go, there's bullshittery going on. All right. Now, whether there was enough to overturn the election, I don't know whether we'll ever know, because we have a lawsuit that was dismissed a few months ago up in Antrim Township, where they have a expert that determined that some of the software that was being used was janky, or there was some kind of backdoor or something like that. I don't know whether that's accurate or not, but that expert was up there saying it. So at least we should be looking at it. And if it was, the shoe was on the other foot, and the Democrat would have lost, they would want every vote always counts then when they do that. But then when they do this, and that Joe and I have talked about it, everybody loves everybody till you walk into a neighborhood thing with a MAGA hat on, and then you probably get the crap kicked out of you, right? And then the only other point that I wanted to make was an insurrection. Calling that an insurrection to the American public is an insult. That there was. I've seen on CNN where cop cars are burning in the background, and they go, "Well, this is a peaceful demonstration." A peaceful demonstration. Well, it's not. It's not. The people who are saying, "Hey, maybe Trump. Maybe we want to look at these votes and determine who cast them." Because in Detroit, they had put newspapers over the window so they couldn't see the recount. I mean, on what planet are we, a banana republic now? That we're putting newspaper over windows to make sure whoever's going to recount can't be seen. I mean, it made no sense to me. Those are my only two comments that I wanted to make, was that pristine election. I don't know about that. And then the insurrection terminology, they're just trying to incite people to go, yeah, well, they went in and they broke some stuff in the White House Capitol, and God forbid Joe and I had talked about it too, which I hope Joe will touch on, is that evidently there's been a spate of, or a bunch of, or many, more than one or two policemen that apparently have committed suicide. And I don't know what's the root of that.
It's really interesting on that, because I believe there was 3 or 4
5.
Is anybody watching? There's 5. Okay.
I think there's 5.
Okay. That's just an amazing event. Here's one of the problems, and I think this is where Two Average Joes and independent media matters. Okay. There's something wrong, and nobody's telling you.
Yeah.
There's something wrong when that door's open, right? That's not something you would ever think. I don't care if they went there to go to the bathroom or they went there to just walk through the halls and raise some, what. How does the door get open? Why did people run? And I will share this with you. It doesn't look like they had a plan. Now, I don't want to get lost on this because we're down to our last few minutes. I never worked anything that big where we didn't have a plan. Okay. And that plan had all sorts of different, what ifs in it. Okay. And they didn't seem to have anything. And doors are open and people are going in and nobody seems to have any control of the scenario. I got videos of people running. He's like, we're going to give everybody a medal. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a disaster. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to go all in. Okay. If you're a police officer and you watch that was not our proudest moment. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. That wasn't our proudest moment. That was a bad moment for police. Okay. I don't know. Somebody get a plan, does anybody have a plan? We used to do that all the time, right? Just some really weird stuff with it. And it kind of leads into the closing about, you're going to have to support independent media. I say it at the end of all of them. We're up against people who have a bunch of money, who can pay to get themselves up, whether it's on Facebook or something, they can get their stuff out. And, we're just a bunch of guys trying, right? We can't meet that money and we never will, but, we need some help with it. And we're really fighting corporations who it is in your best interest not to listen to, because they are going to tell you lies. Okay. They're going to tell you everybody needs a mask, but they're not going to tell you that special needs children are having problems and now they're being isolated, which is the exact opposite of what they tried to do. They tried to bring people in, make everything inclusive. That was the right answer. They are not going to talk about how much that education was beat down over the last year and a half. They're not going to tell you that. Now, we'll tell you that. Okay, we'll tell you it was not a good thing. And nobody on this panel is acting like we know everything. We just know that what you're being told is not correct. And we got to keep fighting. And it's the good fight. I agree with you, Ken. It's the good fight. Okay, it is doing this fight. And I think one thing, and I will end it on this, and I hope y'all guys don't mind. I think in America, we made it too easy to be patriotic. I'm a patriot. Water flag. Do anything in your community? Ever serve in the armed forces? Ever do anything to protect anybody? Have you ever been to a meeting? No, but I'm a patriot. No. Yeah, we made it too easy. And I'm going to go all in again. I think we made it too easy to be a Christian.
Yep.
I think if you showed up for an hour on Sunday, you were good to go. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the leadership of the church pushed that. Like, you were here for an hour, Jesus loved you. On the way out, drop a little bit of money. Okay? We made it way too easy to be a patriot, way too easy to be a good American, and way too easy to be a Christian. And I can't explain any better than you. To be good in anything, you have to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
To be good at anything, you have to sacrifice. You have to lose something to be great. You have to lose something to be dedicated. Okay? I want to use Robert as an example. Somewhere down the line, going to law school and passing that bar, he had to say the rest of my life does not matter at this very moment. Am I right, Robert?
Yeah.
He had to say, he had to sacrifice. He had to give up something to get what he got. When you started your business and you stepped out on your own, you had to say, oh, this don't work. There will be no paycheck. Right?
Exactly.
No working, no food, right?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to do that, when I became a police officer, I don't talk about this, I lost friends. So when you say we're going to do this and I might lose friends, won't be the first time. Okay? There has to be a sacrifice to do great things. I thank you for being here, Ken. Robert, anything you want to say in the last minute we got?
I think I say it almost every time, but if we continue to allow the government to do what they're doing to us, it's coming to a theater near you. I don't know care where you are in this planet, on this, at least in the vast United States, this stuff, and they aren't going to give it back. What they do is they take it, and then it gets increasingly worse. It doesn't come back to you. So, it is important to get involved, to support us or whoever you believe is doing the right thing. And money is preferable, but you could donate your time, your energy, but you got to do something or else, it's coming to the theater near you, guaranteed.
That's right. It's coming to an end. I want to thank y'all guys, and we will talk again real soon. Y'all guys have a great day.